What's up, everybody? Happy Hump Day. This is The Slate. We come to you on Wednesday. Adam Kaufman, Jeff Ulrich, Nick Fryer, these guys with far more important things to talk about than I could ever offer you. So we're going to jump right in, guys, because we have got golf on the way, the Wells Fargo Open. It begins in less than 24 hours. In fact, just a shade over, 12, 13 or so. I know you're both locked in. You've done tons of research. You come at this from opposing sides. Nothing excites me more. Moose, you are our resident, maybe our most golf guy. You've at least been nominated or won fantasy writing golf awards. So tee us up here. What should we be expecting?
Two-time loser of the golf writer of the award is how I like to
An honor just to be nominated.
No, it's not. I want to win. Look, Wells Fargo, elevated event, tough course, championship style course at Quail Hollow. Obviously has hosted the President's Cup, hosted the PGA Championship. There's it's an interesting field. It's not as necessarily, it's top heavy, obviously, but like with no John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler, and then we have Rory McIlroy coming in kind of a weird spot where he's missing cuts. He's saying he's mentally fatigued. We don't really know why he took a couple weeks off. It definitely begs some question. I think there's some opportunity for some players to make some moves this week. So, the top of the board it's pretty thin for betting at this point. Everyone's kind of been bet down. Hovland's been bet down under plus 2,000. I liked Hovland at plus 22 when he opened. I bet him. Cameron Young, I liked at plus 25, plus 22. He's down to plus 18 on DraftKings. Justin Thomas is down to plus 2,000, who's probably good value. So, the top of the board is kind of just like play who you want. I mean, you're not really getting a better price. Like plus 1,200 on Cali, that's fine. I personally, like I said, I bet Hovland and Cameron Young, but I would not really be shocked to see any of those names. I think where you can still find some good numbers on players going back. I think this is an event where you could see sort of a longer shot come through. I know we haven't seen that much at the elevated events, but again, no Scheffler, no Rahm. I think this course also plays to a very specific skill set, which is distance, and players who are strong off the tee. We got some players down the list who really fit that mold.
Fryer, you give us your side before I get more specific with my questions.
I, of course, muted myself like a dumbass. So I have.
We can still look at you, though, and we're all winners when we get to see you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. One of us here isn't technically a loser of an award, so that's also good. Now, I have two plays for our fade Fryer tonight, and I'm actually curious if where Jeff's going to go with these. Usually he's not fading me, he's backing me, which is kind of odd and defeats the purpose of the segment. But, Jeff, my first guy that I'm going to give you for the Wells Fargo Championship is Tyrell Hatton, plus 3,500 to win it. Plus 750 for top 5, and then plus 350 for top 10, which is probably where I like him most. You guys know I don't usually like to go straight up on these as much as people like to have a little more fun with that. I know in your cheat sheet article, Jeff, you highlighted a strokes gained off the tee, and I think was it Rory or who it was putting was huge for him, strokes gained putting, if I remember correctly. Jeff, is that right? Was it Rory? Yeah. Okay. So when he won it.
Been the last couple winners at Quail Hollow. They've Homa gained like 8 strokes or something as well. So
there we go. So Hatton ranks 9th in strokes gained off the tee this season. And then I know he's not as good in strokes gained putting, but 19th, I'll still take that when we know off the tee is so important here. I know his long iron proximity hasn't been great. I know it's another stat that you highlighted, but it's been fine, it seems, based in terms of the rankings. And also he's got 3 top 10 finishes this year and just 10 events played. I know that one of the important things that you highlighted was history at this course. I know that's a drawback for him in this case. He hasn't played here since 2017, didn't do all that well here either. But I think looking at his form and at least having some level of experience at Quail Hollow, I like him a lot to be at plus 350 to finish in the top 10.
Fryer, I'm a lot like you in the sense that I mean, anyone can tell you I'm not that much fun, but when it comes to betting golf, I like to have fun with giving myself a little more leeway to win when, so we're talking top 5s and top 10s and top 20s even, or even just depending on the guy, just miss the cut, that type of thing. Moose, when you're diving in, you're making all these outrights with your limitless bankroll. How many guys are you invested in?
Oh, I mean, it depends on the week. I mean, yeah, you really need to be sure that when you're investing in outrights, you have a plan, a unit plan, a way to allocate your units. If you're taking 3 players under 2,000, you're not going to have room for many other players. Like if you're investing in Tony Finau, Xander, and Jordan Spieth this week, just as an example, those are the 3 players I'm betting. But if you were, you're not going to have much room because, you get to a point where it's basically, it's like playing roulette. There's only so many numbers you can cover and only so many numbers you should cover. That's why you're always looking for the best numbers out there to kind of grab because we only have so many, units that we want to allocate. So my typical week, some weeks I'll only put in 3 or 4. Some weeks I'll put in 5 or 6, but it'll be, my last 3 guys will be like 80 to 1 or bigger because it costs me less to get good returns on those guys. So just as an example, using $100 as a unit, if I put $100 on Victor Hovland at plus 1,800 to get the same kind of return on a Gary Woodland this week, it cost me like $20. So, it's just being cognizant of your unit and your risk exposure as well. Some weeks I'll just have 2 guys I really like and I'll double up on them. It's not really what I'm doing this week, but I do have a couple guys I like. So as far as Tyrrell Hatton goes, make sure when you're pronouncing Tyrrell Hatton, it's Tyrrell Hatton. I don't really like him this week that much, to be honest. So I am going to fade Fryer this week. Longer golf course. He's never played well here. Hatton's it's in a weird season. He looked really good right before the Masters, and then he had some weird hand injury, and he just he hasn't been gaining strokes on approach, but he's a good player. I just don't know if this is necessarily the spot for him. It's a longer course. I would probably prefer him on a slightly shorter one where, his iron play and putting can come to the forefront more. But I mean, he's in a group of players with Ricky Fowler, Burns. I mean, you can make the argument like Hatton's, he's not really like underpriced. I just don't really like him this week. I'd probably rather bet Fowler this week. It's probably close between those two, but my main theory is, you take a couple guys at the front. This is what I'm doing this week. And then I'm going even further back. Like I'd rather bet Tommy Fleetwood than Hatton. I'd rather bet Fleetwood at plus 5,000. He was really good at the Valspar. He's been good tee to green. He hasn't had that blistering final round yet to get him over the hump, but he was in position at the Valspar. He was in position at the Heritage as well. He's actually in pretty good position at the Players. The final rounds have been killing him, but again, like we know Tommy Fleetwood's an elite player, or he's a very good player when he's on, and he's been playing well, and I think it's all there. I think plus 450 for a top 5 is actually pretty good for him too. So I'd rather go down and take Fleetwood over Hatton in that range.
Got a hell of a lot of nerve, Jeff. I mean, the guy thinks enough of you to decorate his home office exactly like yours, and you just fade his picks.
So my comic books.
I mean, that is the point of the segment. I'm just glad that he actually did it for the first time. It makes me think now we haven't had this is the first time.
I think before you were just picking the players that I bet, and you're just
it's old when people just agree with you all the time, doesn't it?
No, how dare you accuse me of doing that? Coming on here, no, I deliberately would not look at the bottom of your articles and to make sure I'm only looking at the key trends to target, so that way I know where to go because we all know that I'm not a big golf guy. So I'm just trying to make sure that I don't sound like a complete moron. You're the one that's been backing me every single time.
Well, you were doing a good job until this week. So.
Well, it's interesting how Emerson's not here, and now you all of a sudden do it. Almost makes you think that he somehow was messing with you in some capacity. I don't know what it was, though. It's odd. But I do have another guy that I did want to mention too, Sung JM. I don't know if you had mentioned him before, Jeff, but plus 2,500 to win. I actually like him more for the top 20 market, plus 130, as much as he's got better odds than Hatton. I'm not going to go and try and say his first name again because I'll get lambasted by Jeff. But I think for the top 20 market,
Tyrrell Hatton, that it? It was what kind of accent did I put on that there, Moose?
Tyrrell Hatton.
Tyrrell Hatton. Go ahead.
Okay.
Anyways, plus 130 for the top 20 market. Strokes gained off the tee, again, huge this week, ranks 11th in that category. I know his putting, not great in terms of strokes gained. I think he's like 69th, which some people would say is nice, but not in this case. But he does come in with great form. I know he got top 6 at the Zolric, but then before that, tied 7th at RBC Heritage, 16th. Tied 16th rather at the Masters, tied 6th at the Players. In his 16 solo events this year, he's been top 10 6 times. And then he's been a top 20 finisher 10 times. So to me, I'd rather go there. I know he's played at this course in the past. Was it tied 31st in 2019? So not great, but obviously he's coming in really good form. So I'd rather go and just, again, try and give myself a greater chance of success still at plus money for top 20 market with him.
See, Moose is just out here single bulleting his $100 units, Fryer. What I want to do, what I think you and I should do, just for funsies, we want to make our stuff last a little longer, right? Like we should just pick 2-3 guys and parlay top 20s. Then we get enjoyment all the way through the weekend.
Well, I don't know about parlays. I mean, that's just no, I'm not doing that.
I thought you only
live a little dangerously.
parlays, Kaufman. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. 17 leg parlays, maniac.
I know.
Look, I actually like the thinking with him. Like, I was pretty tempted to bet Sungjae. I've bet him quite a few times earlier in the year, but the truth is, like, he just doesn't have the firepower that a lot of the other players in his range do. Like Matt Fitzpatrick is a great example. Fitzpatrick's just a better player. Like he's just a better putter. He converts more birdies, better around the green, and they're the same price. But Sungjae is a very consistent player, and I think that, you know, again, betting him for placing does make some sense. So I expect him to play well, but I don't really feel the need to go and bet him in the outright market. So yeah, top 20 makes sense. I can't disagree. You know, just looking at this range, yeah, like it's tough to pick through the plus 2000s. I mean, you know, Fitzpatrick is probably what you'd say like the most underrated just in terms of the numbers. Fitzpatrick just won. He just beat an elite field, and then now it's like, oh yeah, well, you don't belong with like Cameron Young and Jordan Spieth. He just beat Spieth, like, so it does make sense. But Morikawa is out there too. I like the placing argument on Sungjae anyways. That's definitely the way to play him, I think, if you're going to play him.
All right, in the interest of time, because there's a lot we want to get to here, potpourri of sports. Obviously, this tournament, the Wells Fargo Championship, begins tomorrow morning, so there's time for you to go back, review, listen, learn, write notes down of everything these two guys were talking about. The window's a little bit shorter, though, if you're looking to make your bets for action tonight, postseason. Let's start hockey, Moose, because there are two games versus the one on the hardwood, and your beloved Oilers are going to play. They're going to open up their second round against Bruce Cassidy's Vegas Golden Knights. Prior to that, the early game in the East, you've got Carolina playing host to New Jersey. First game, game one of both these second round sets. What are your expectations?
I like the road teams in both of them. Did both road teams win? Yeah, both road teams won last night too. Road teams have been dominating this playoffs, and I like that trend here again. I mean, the Devils to me were a team, you know, I really liked going in. I liked them in the series against the Rangers. They really showed people something, I think, coming back from 2 down. It's a team that's just very, very deep, good at creating chances 5-on-5. You're going up against a Hurricanes team that averaged 2.6 goals in the first round. The Hurricanes do not have any forwards. And if the Devils keep coming at them in waves like they did against the Rangers, I think eventually they'll break through. And I just don't think that the Hurricanes necessarily have the firepower to fight back to the point where they can win a 7-game series. So, I mean, they can, but it's, you know, that they will. So I like the Devils here. I like the Devils tonight too, betting them. You know, it's not like the greatest, the biggest line, but, you know, they are the underdog at -105. I like betting them on the series line too. So I like New Jersey. And again, I like the Oilers. I mean, I'm not writing off Vegas or anything like that, but Vegas is kind of like they're like if we were ranking, you know, like the Porsche 911, what's under a Porsche 911? Like if the Oilers are the Porsche 911, the Vegas Golden Knights are like the Ford Mustang. Like they're a good team, but they don't have like the high end horses that the Oilers do. I mean, they both these teams like to play fast. They like to play like kind of fast paced hockey. They have skill players, but they don't have the skill players that the Oilers do. And there's issues both sides in net, I think. I mean, the Golden Knights are basically relying on a guy in Lorraine Brassard who's been a backup his entire career. He did play well in round 1, but how long is that going to last against Draisaitl and McDavid? The Oilers have goaltending questions too, but Skinner had a big win in Game 6 to close it out. I think you go with the Oilers, and I think that starts tonight.
So looking at the 2 road games, and of course our friends over at VSiN, we can see what's going on at the DraftKings Sportsbook based on where the money is and the handle and all of that. And you're with the public, the sharps for that matter. I mean, it's a collection, obviously, but the road teams are the ones where the majority, a small majority, it's you know, between 50 and 60%.
Pretty close.
Yeah, is going, you know, both handle and bets are going toward the road teams. The only place where there's any sort of dominant money moving, and it's been, you know, bet up and up and up throughout the day in terms of just the percentage of handle and bets, is the over 6.5 goals in that second game between the Oilers and Golden Knights. And I mean, I jumped on that last night when it came out, both straight and as part of a parlay, a 3-legger, guys, not a 17-legger, but I've got the over in that game. But
proud of you.
I've thank you. I've heard some people, just as we get a little closer to the game, start to go the other way with it. How are you feeling about the over in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't love betting overs in the playoffs, but and again, like it's these two teams know each other quite well. You could see a bit of a feeling out process. I mean, I'm just staying away from the total here. The last 4 times these teams have played, it's been 7 goals or more. So again, like the style that they play, we should be expecting a higher scoring game. But like I think that the Oilers are a better team. I do think there's scenarios here where the Oilers just come in, are very dominant. One of the goaltenders is play kind of similar to what we saw basically in Toronto and Florida, where the Panthers got a really good performance from their goalie. They put up some goals, but it wasn't like didn't delve into shootout territory. So yeah, if you're betting right now, I would say there's probably a better value on taking the under. It's a minus 105. I don't have a hard lean either way. If you're already invested in the over and you got a better price, that's fine. But if I was betting a total, I would probably just take the minus 130 on the under between the Devils and Hurricanes. I mean, that series just screams 3-2, 2-1 games. I mean, my God, so I think you'll actually see some 5 totals in New Jersey and Carolina before it's all said and done. I was actually a little bit surprised it didn't open at 5, but it's almost there at minus 130. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the totals tonight. I don't have a hard lean in the Oilers game. Just going to play the money line. And then, with the total, I think it's fair enough to say that, if you're getting, the better odds on the under, it's fair to take it.
Yeah, just for giggles, and I mean, I never have high expectations and therefore don't bet a lot on these types of little, 2-leg parlays. But I took the under in that first game and the over in the second game. I just think that's how I read the game, similar to you. But 90% of the handle and almost 85% of the bets on the over in that second game, which surprises me a little bit. But obviously, you talked about the track record.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about that, the Golden Knights had they were a good under team to bet on during the regular season. So that's the other thing that has me hesitant. I never bet the overs in Golden Knights games during the regular season. So, I seeing all the money flow in, it kind of just has me worried. So again, I'm just staying off it. I think that's probably the play.
Let's mix in hoops, Fryer, because our beloved Celtics trying to avoid going down 0-2 at home with this thing is all over the place. So anyone that missed it earlier, we went from Joel Embiid is doubtful to play. My expectation was he definitely wasn't going to play. And I would have been even mildly surprised if we saw him during the series, to Shams Charania coming out and saying Embiid has declared himself back. And then he met with the media and said he's not sure. And it was similar to his approach going into game 1. And so that is why, you look at prop bets, and we don't have to get into this, but I've been watching it all day. You look at prop bets in this game, there's no strong plus EV for anything, because nobody has a clue how to bet this game. And the totals and stuff have moved all over the place. It opened at Celtics by 10. It moved down to 7.5. Now it's sitting at 8.5 as I look at it. The point total was up around 218.5, dropped to, I think, 215.5. Now it's 216.5, and people seem to be betting the over again. And obviously the money line is favorably Celtics, because people just can't stomach the idea that they won't split this thing going back to Philly. How are you reading this?
So looking at the splits, as you mentioned, over on VSiN, the Celtics are the sharp bet right now. Definitely not the public bet, which isn't too much of a surprise. As much as I do expect the Celtics to come and win this one. It opened at, it was 10 or 9.5, and it got all the way up to at least 10, maybe 10.5, and then we saw that dip, like you said, to 7.5. So I totally get why the public wanted to go with the Sixers, especially with Embiid possibly being back in the mix. We don't know how his minutes are going to be limited. Personally, I'm not touching the spread in this one. I mean, I do understand why it's the sharp play right now. And you look over at the money line too, like you said, Koflik, there's not a lot of value in taking the Celtics right now, almost minus 400. But this is like a pretty even split when you look at the handle and the bets. It's slightly the advantage to the sharps on for the Celtics right now, but it's like a 51-49 split on both. So it's pretty odd to me. My favorite play right now in this game, and this has actually moved a little bit back and forth throughout the day too, is Celtics first half points total. Right now it's at 57.5. I played it at 58.5 at what was it, even money. Right now it's minus 115 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Look, I get it. I respect Embiid being back in the game. I understand he's going to make a difference, on the defensive end, offensive end, maybe impacts the tempo a little bit, but at the same time, James Harden does have a tendency to slow the game down a little bit. So I still don't think though that we're going to go and see the Celtics put up fewer than 60 points in this game. If this was up to 61.5, I probably still would have taken the over here. Anything more than that, and then I feel like you're kind of playing with fire. But at 58, seeing it dip down to 57, I mean, I don't love it, but at the same time, I don't really care. I mean, I think if you look at the alternate lines, it would still be 50 game where you look at the win total for the Nets to hang up to the Nets after losing 3 games this season.
Well, that's the thing. Why put him in the first place when you're up 1-0?
Yeah. No, it's a fair point. So I do think that if you think he's going to play, even if you think he's going to play, you can still attack some of the overs because I question how much he's going to be involved. But I do think that right now, I think that Jeff Pratt and Julian Edlow talked about it on the show this morning about taking the under on Joel Embiid's points prop at 24.5. I think that is a pretty reasonable play.
Yeah.
If you want to attack another guy, I do think James Harden for his points, rebounds, and assists total. It is juiced to the over right now at -140, but 34.5. I do think that's in range, and he could do that realistically too, even if Embiid does play, because James Harden is known to put up a triple-double or two, and he can go nuts in either the rebounding or assist category, and then still put up let's say he puts up 15 points. If he goes off in one of those other categories and then does okay in one of the others by his standards, then you're in business. So that's if there's a guy that you want to attack the over on, I would say it's him. There's a case to be made for Tyrese Maxey, but you got to be paying attention and locked in to the news on that one and try and get that number quick at 27.5.
So I was just going to say a popular number out there right now is under 27.5 for Maxey, that PRA.
Yeah, if Embiid plays, I don't like that number. I would say go towards the under there. But if Embiid does not play,
then he's going to breeze right by it.
Yes, exactly. So, but that's again why you want to make sure you have you're on Twitter, you're following DK Live, because you're going to get that news right away as soon as it comes out, because then that number becomes far more appealing because we know he can fill it up in an instant from a scoring standpoint.
I know these books respond quickly. As soon as that news hits Twitter, it feels like everything locks.
100%
years on DraftKings.
Tweet deck, everybody. Tweet deck. Make sure you are on there, and then at DK Live.
We've got a sim on the way in a matter of moments, the Steelers and Niners. But very quickly, before we do go, I know you just wanted to mention any sort of passing thought on the Lakers and Warriors game coming up tomorrow night, game 2 of that series.
Yeah, I like the Warriors to win and cover in this one. And actually, Julian on DK Nation
talking about
you're a Lakers fan, Jeff?
LeBron? Hello, never heard of him.
You're a LeBron fan? You're a LeBron fan? Oh, wow. How have I not heard about this ever?
Why? How can you like the Lakers? They're fun. They're from LA. AD.
How can you not like the Lakers? They're fun. They're from LA.
Okay. This. I will say I'm upset because I was thinking about backing the Lakers on the money line the other day.
Yeah.
On game 1. And I was like, God, but no, Warriors win and cover in this one. Biggest reason for me in this one, the Lakers are 24-31-1 against the spread when playing on 1 day of rest. They had the rest advantage in game 1, which was why I kind of liked them a little bit in that one. Again, couldn't pull the trigger, and I'm still upset about it. But now they don't have that rest advantage. And LeBron, who was just getting chirped by Dylan Brooks, and everybody's like, oh, don't wake the beast up. He just went and poked the bear with Steph Curry, chirping him while he's going back to the bench. He's asking for trouble. That man is your father. He has owned you in the past, and he's going to do it again in this series.
84% of the handle on the Warriors money line right now, 82% on them covering the 5.5 point spread. Something to monitor, and obviously we'll talk more about it both on the Sweat tomorrow morning, the Slate tomorrow afternoon. Be with us. We hope you will. Moose and Fryer, Eamon, our producer, Daniel, our technical director. I'm Kaufman. Thanks for being with us here on a Wednesday, and happy betting tonight, folks. Go Celtics, go Oilers. I'll even support Jeff. We'll see you later.
Go Lakers.
Ugh.
Oh.